Welcome back. Well, as you heard earlier, Premier Rachel Notley is continuing to beat the drum for the Trans Mountain Pipeline in BC. Typically, it's the officials and the protesters who get all the attention in these debates. So we decided to sample some opinion from the people you haven't been hearing from. While Ottawa was mulling over its approval of Trans Mountain, our Aaron Collins took his iPhone and traveled the length of the line to gauge support for the expansion.
The Trans Mountain Pipeline hasn't changed much since it was built in 1952. Carved out of the land between Alberta's oil country and BC's coastline, it began moving crude across the Rockies the following year. The route is no secret, clearly marked along the way, running through places like Hinton, a town whose economy relies on natural resources, not just oil, but coal and timber too. And even with the energy industry on the rocks, signs of it are everywhere here. Around here, pretty much everyone relies on oil and gas money in one way or another.
They're huge sponsors of our club, and we may not be able to survive without their sponsorships.
Now, the hope here is that an expanded line could provide much-needed jobs and a boost to the local economy that will trickle right down to the ice at this rink.
I think we should be all for it. I mean, it supports a lot of people's lives. That's how a lot of people in these rural communities make a living.
About 3 hours down the line is the tiny community of Blue River, BC. Now, Kinder Morgan runs a pump station here, one of the few employers in a town that's shrunk from around 800 to just 250 in recent years. Now, if the Trans Mountain expansion goes ahead, that could mean more jobs at the company's facility. At the only store in town, customers are few and far between. Robert Oakman, who's been here more than 40 years, hopes it won't just be jobs that return to Blue River if the pipeline is expanded.
Where there's a line for oil, that means there are going to have to be people up and down the line staying in that place to maintain it.
Around the corner from Oakman's shop and the Kinder Morgan facility is the local school. There are just 8 students these days, including Casey Quinn's son. That's down from nearly 80 when Quinn went here.
We don't have anybody left in Blue River.
And why is that?
No jobs.
From Blue River, the Trans Mountain line winds south through the mountains, eventually making its way to the city of Kamloops. This rocky gorge that I'm standing in is the path that the Trans Mountain Pipeline takes as it enters Kamloops, British Columbia. It's essentially the halfway mark of the BC leg of this line as it makes its way out to the coast. Now, all along that route, you can see these yellow signs that mark where the pipeline is buried. And just to give you a sense of how close this line is to the communities that it passes by and to the amenities that the people in those communities use, have a look across the street. That is the local dog park. Like the variety of dogs that frequent this park, opinions about the Trans Mountain expansion are diverse. There is support, but also some lingering concerns about pipeline safety.
I'm not against pipelines. I just want them to assure and somehow give us a safety net so we can have more faith in them.
This is where all that oil ends up and where perhaps the biggest leap of faith is needed. Tanker traffic will jump from about 5 per month to more than 30 if the Trans Mountain line is expanded. Right next to Kinder Morgan's facility here, a nature path and a residential area. Art Hilsted has been here for more than 50 years. Hilsted's home backs onto Burrard Inlet.
You know, they said, oh, no, nothing to worry about the spills. Well, there's spills, on a pretty regular basis. Even the last one, which was a tug.
Of course, getting permission to build a pipeline and actually doing it are very different things. Now that Kinder Morgan has the green light to twin the Trans Mountain line, those who live next to it will just have to wait and see if they actually do.
Okay, the CBC's Aaron Collins is back from his trip to beautiful British Columbia. He joins me now in studio. Good to see you, Aaron.
Good to see you too.
So, interesting item there. I'm wondering, as you were traveling that line, can you actually see on the ground where it goes?
You can, and one of the things that really stuck with me when I got back is pipelines are kind of all around us here in Canada. We're used to seeing them, we're used to using them, but we're not used to seeing them. And actually all along this line, the signs of it are everywhere. And I'm not speaking metaphorically, there's actual yellow signs right along the path. And it goes through the Rocky Mountains all the way to Burnaby. You've got them alongside homes, through residential parks in the suburbs along the coastline. So one of the things I really took back is when you start looking for the signs, there they are. So these things are out there.
Yeah, and a lot of people in BC in particular are looking for those signs, getting
are.
a little alarmed about that. So if there's one big takeaway from this project of yours, what is it?
Well, I guess it has to do with sort of what I did, which is walk the line. And what I found was, I guess, something that really crystallized for me. Where you are along this line is what determines how you feel about it. So big differences, no surprise, between how people in Alberta feel about this line and how people on the coast feel about this line. So, you know, are you worried about the ocean? Well, if you live next to the ocean, probably. How do you feel about the line if you're in Hinton? Well, if you're unemployed and you're in the energy industry, that's probably going to determine your position on this line.
As I say, Aaron, good to see you in studio again.
Good to see you too.